I finally set boundaries with my family and stuck to them. Before we get into this, I want to say something that really struck me about Ashley's situation. What fascinated me wasn't the conflict itself, but how long someone can endure being treated as secondary before they finally realize their presence has become optional to the people who should value them most. This story isn't about getting even with anyone. It's about that quiet moment when you stop explaining yourself and simply start choosing differently. That shift changes everything, even when nobody's watching. Ashley had always been the reliable one. The daughter who showed up early to family dinners with homemade sides. The sister who remembered everyone's birthdays and anniversaries without needing Facebook reminders. The aunt who babysat at the last minute, who brought thoughtful gifts, who listened to everyone's problems over coffee that grew cold while she nodded and reassured. For 32 years, this had been her role. She wore it like a second skin, never questioning whether it fit or if anyone noticed the weight of it. Her family lived within a 20-minute radius of each other in suburban Michigan. Her parents, Linda and Tom, had the big house where holidays happened. Her older brother, Derek, lived 3 streets over with his wife, Vanessa, and their 2 kids. Her younger sister, Brittany, had an apartment downtown but spent most weekends at their parents' place, doing laundry and raiding the fridge. Ashley lived alone in a small rental, worked as a medical office administrator, and had structured her entire life around being available. Available for her mother's doctor appointments. Available when Derek needed a babysitter. Available when Brittany had another crisis with her on-again, off-again boyfriend. She told herself this was what family meant. That showing up was love in action. But somewhere around her 32nd birthday, something started shifting. It wasn't dramatic. It was more like a slow leak in a tire that you don't notice until the ride feels different. Her birthday fell on a Thursday that year. She'd taken the day off work, planning to treat herself to a nice lunch and maybe catch an afternoon movie. She wasn't expecting a party or anything elaborate. Just maybe a phone call. A text. Something that acknowledged the day. By noon, nothing. She sat in a cafe downtown, picking at a Caesar salad and checking her phone every few minutes. She felt pathetic doing it, but couldn't seem to stop. At 2:47 p.m., her phone finally buzzed. Her mother. "Hi honey, can you pick up some milk on your way over tonight? We're out and your father needs it for his coffee in the morning." Ashley stared at the message. Read it 3 times. Waited for the follow-up text that would say happy birthday, or at least acknowledge what day it was. Nothing came. She replied, "It's my birthday, Mom." The response took 6 minutes. "Oh sweetie, I know. We'll celebrate this weekend. Can you still grab the milk though?" That weekend came and went. No celebration. No mention of it. When Ashley brought it up at Sunday dinner, her mother waved a hand dismissively. "We've all been so busy, honey. You understand. We'll do something next month." Derek barely looked up from his phone. Brittany was too absorbed in telling everyone about her latest drama with Marcus to notice Ashley had spoken at all. Ashley drove home that night with her hands tight on the steering wheel, something hard and small forming in her chest. It felt like a stone. Smooth. Cold. Undeniable. The next incident came 3 weeks later. Derek called on a Tuesday evening. "Hey, Ash, I know it's last minute, but Vanessa's mom fell and broke her hip. We need to drive to Indiana tonight. Can you take the kids for a few days?" Ashley had learned long ago not to check if she had plans before agreeing. Her plans always seemed less important than everyone else's needs. "Of course," she said automatically. "When do you need me?" "Can you come now? We need to leave in an hour." She cancelled her book club, the one social thing she did for herself each month, and drove to Derek's house. The kids, 8 and 6, were wound up and unprepared. Derek and Vanessa were already throwing things into suitcases. "Thanks so much," Vanessa said, barely making eye contact. "There's food in the fridge. Bedtime is 8:30. We'll call when we can." They were gone in 15 minutes. Ashley spent 3 days juggling her work schedule, getting the kids to school, making meals, helping with homework, managing bedtime routines. She called her boss and worked shortened days, making up the hours at night after the children finally fell asleep. Derek and Vanessa returned on Friday evening. No call ahead. They just showed up, looking refreshed despite the crisis that had sent them away. "How's your mom?" Ashley asked Vanessa. "She's fine. Surgery went well. She'll be in rehab for a few weeks." Vanessa smiled. We actually got to spend some time with my dad, which was nice. Took him out to dinner last night. Dinner. They'd had time for dinner out while Ashley had been eating chicken nuggets with two exhausted kids. Thanks again, Derek said, already loading the kids into his car. We owe you one. They never asked what it had cost her. Never offered to pay her back in any tangible way. Ashley stood in her empty apartment that night, looking at the dishes still piled in the sink, the work she'd have to catch up on over the weekend, and felt something crack. Not break. Not yet. Just crack. This is the part that really gets me. Because Ashley wasn't dealing with terrible people who actively tried to hurt her. They were just completely comfortable with her being the one who sacrificed. What's interesting is how this pattern builds so gradually that by the time you notice it, you've trained everyone around you to expect it. They don't see it as taking advantage. They see it as just how things are. The invisible person who makes everything work doesn't get thanked because their presence has become ambient, like air. You don't thank the air for being breathable. The final straw came in June. Her parents announced they were throwing a big party for their 40th wedding anniversary. A backyard barbecue, they said, just family and close friends. Nothing fancy. At Sunday dinner, her mother started delegating tasks. Derek, you and Vanessa handle the drinks. Brittany, you're in charge of music and decorations. Ashley looked up, waiting. You'll do the food, won't you? You're such a good cook. Maybe that potato salad everyone loves? And some of your pasta salad too? Oh, and we'll need appetizers. Maybe those little meatballs you make? And probably a dessert. People always expect dessert. Ashley felt everyone's eyes on her, expecting the automatic yes. How many people? She asked quietly. Oh, about 50. 50 people. Her mother was asking her to cater for 50 people. Mom, that's a lot of food. That would cost me a few $100s, plus all the prep time. Well, we'll reimburse you for ingredients, her mother said, as if that was generous. And you enjoy cooking anyway, don't you? No one else had been asked to pay for their contributions. Derek wasn't buying the alcohol out of pocket. Brittany wasn't funding the decorations. I'll think about it, Ashley said. Her mother's face tightened. What's there to think about? It's your parents' 40th anniversary, Ashley. I said I'll think about it. The table went quiet. This wasn't how Ashley responded. Ashley said yes. Ashley made things easy. Derek jumped in. Come on, Ash. Don't be difficult about this. Something in his tone, that casual dismissal, that assumption that her hesitation was unreasonable, pushed her over an edge she hadn't known she was standing on. I'm not being difficult, she said, her voice level. I'm being asked to spend several $100s and an entire weekend of work while everyone else gets easy assignments they can knock out in an afternoon. I'm allowed to think about whether that's fair. Fair? Her mother's voice rose. Since when do we keep score in this family? Since always, Ashley thought. You've just never noticed because the score always worked in your favor. But she didn't say that. She just stood up, gathered her things, and left. Her phone started buzzing before she even got to her car. Text after text. Her mother, her father, Derek, even Brittany, who had been half checked out during the entire dinner. All variations of the same theme. She was being selfish. She was making everything about her. She was causing unnecessary drama. Couldn't she just be supportive for once? For once. As if the last 3 decades hadn't happened. Ashley turned her phone off and drove home in silence. She spent that night doing something she'd never done before. She opened a note on her laptop and started writing down everything she'd done for her family over the past year alone. Watched Derek's kids, 17 times, totaling 83 hours. Driven her mother to appointments, 12 times. Lent Brittany money, 4 times, totaling $1,400, never repaid. Hosted holidays at her small apartment when her parents didn't feel like cooking, 3 times. Brought food to every family gathering, every single time. The list went on. And on. When she was finished, she stared at it. This was just 1 year. What would 32 years look like? She closed the laptop and made a decision. The next morning, she sent a group text to her family. I won't be able to help with the anniversary party. I hope it's wonderful. Love you all. Simple. Clear. No justification. No apology. The response was immediate and ugly. Her mother called her selfish and ungrateful. Derek said she was punishing everyone over nothing. Brittany sent a long voice message about how Ashley had always been jealous of her, and this was just another example of her being petty. Her father, who rarely got involved in family conflict, sent a text that hurt most of all: "Your mother is very upset. This isn't like you, Ashley. Please reconsider. This isn't like you." He was right. It wasn't like her. The old Ashley would have already apologized and started shopping for ingredients. The new Ashley, the one who'd spent the night looking at 32 years of being taken for granted, simply replied, "I understand she's upset. My decision stands." Then she muted the group chat. The party was 3 weeks away. Ashley's phone continued buzzing with messages she didn't read. She went to work, came home, lived her life. For the first time in years, her weekends were her own. She cleaned out her apartment, joined a yoga class, started reading the books that had been piling up on her nightstand, went to the movies alone on a Saturday afternoon and didn't feel guilty about it. It felt like learning to breathe differently. 2 days before the party, Derek showed up at her apartment unannounced. "Can we talk?" he asked when she opened the door. She almost didn't let him in. But curiosity won. She stepped aside. He sat on her couch, looking uncomfortable. "Mom's really stressed about this party." "I'm sure she is. Look, I don't know what's going on with you lately, but this grudge or whatever it is, it's affecting everyone." Ashley sat across from him, calm. "I'm not holding a grudge, Derek. I made a decision about what I can and can't do, and I'm sticking to it. But it's for Mom and Dad. I understand that. And I'm sure the party will be lovely. You're all capable people." He stared at her. "What happened to you?" The question hung in the air. What was he really asking? What happened to the person who never said no? What happened to the sister who made everything easy for everyone else? "I grew up," she said quietly. "That's what happened." Continuing story. Derek left looking confused and slightly annoyed. Ashley felt oddly peaceful. The day of the party came. Ashley woke up, made herself a nice breakfast, and went to a farmer's market. She bought fresh flowers for her apartment and some fancy cheese she normally wouldn't splurge on. Her phone stayed mostly quiet. They were all too busy with the party. She wondered how they'd managed the food. If they'd hired someone or if her mother had panicked and ordered from a restaurant. Either way, it wasn't her problem. That realization felt powerful. It wasn't her problem. Sunday came and went with no family dinner invitation. Ashley ordered Thai food and watched a movie she'd been wanting to see. On Monday, Brittany called. Actually called, not texted. "Hey," she said, her voice careful. "So, the party was weird without you there." "I'm sure it was fine." Mom cried a little. "Dad kept saying how you were probably busy with work." Making excuses for her absence. Saving face. "Look," Brittany continued, "I know we've been. I mean, maybe we haven't been. Whatever. Can you come to dinner this Sunday? Things feel off." "Things feel off because I'm not there to smooth everything over," Ashley thought. "I don't think so," she said. "But thank you for asking." "Are you serious right now? You're really going to just cut us all off?" "I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm just not available the way I used to be." "That's the same thing." "No," Ashley said. "It's really not." Brittany hung up. The weeks that followed were quiet. Her family's texts became less frequent, less demanding, more careful. "Hope you're doing well," from her mother. "Thinking about you," from her father. Derek sent an article he thought she'd find interesting. No mention of babysitting. No requests for help. It was like they'd suddenly remembered she was a person with her own life, not just a resource they could draw from whenever convenient. Ashley didn't respond much. A thumbs up here. A thanks for thinking of me there. She was polite but distant. She wasn't angry. That was the strange part. She'd expected to feel furious or vindicated or something sharp and hot. Instead, she just felt clear. Like she'd been looking through a foggy window for years and someone had finally cleaned the glass. In August, her mother called. An actual phone call. "Ashley, can we talk?" "We're talking now." I mean really talk. In person. Ashley considered this. Okay. We can meet for coffee. Can't you just come to the house? No, Mom. Coffee. Somewhere neutral. There was a pause. Her mother wasn't used to Ashley setting terms. Fine. Thursday at 2. They met at a cafe halfway between their homes. Her mother arrived 10 minutes late, flustered and clearly uncomfortable with the setting. I don't know why we had to meet here, Linda said, settling into her chair. This is silly. We could have talked at home. I'm more comfortable here, Ashley said simply. Her mother ordered a coffee she didn't really want and spent a few minutes fussing with sugar packets. Your father misses you, she finally said. We all do. Ashley waited. She'd learned the power of not filling silence. I don't understand what happened. One day everything was fine, and then suddenly you're acting like we're strangers. Mom, when's my birthday? The question clearly caught her off guard. What? October 12th. Why? You forgot it this year. Completely forgot. Remembered that you needed milk, but not that I'd turned 32. Linda's face shifted through several expressions. Defensiveness, dismissal, and finally something that might have been shame. People forget birthdays, Ashley. It doesn't mean. It's not just the birthday. It's everything. It's being asked to cater a party for 50 people on my dime. It's watching Derek's kids every time he snaps his fingers. It's lending Brittany money I'll never see again. It's showing up for everyone, all the time, and never having anyone show up for me. Her mother's jaw tightened. That's not fair. We appreciate everything you do. Do you? Because appreciation usually involves reciprocity, Mom. It involves actually considering whether what you're asking is reasonable. It involves noticing when someone is carrying more than their share. So what? You want us to thank you every time you do something nice? That's not how family works. No, Ashley said, her voice steady. I want to be treated like my time and money and energy matter as much as everyone else's. I want to stop being the only one who's expected to sacrifice. That's how family should work. Linda looked away, blinking rapidly. You're making me out to be some terrible mother. I'm not. I'm just telling you how I feel. How I felt for a long time. If you felt this way, you should have said something sooner. I did, Mom. You just never listened. That hung between them, sharp and true. Her mother's coffee sat untouched, cooling. So what now? You're just done with us. I'm not done with you. I'm done being taken for granted. Those are different things. I don't see how. Ashley stood up, gathered her purse. I know you don't. And maybe you will eventually, or maybe you won't. But either way, I'm not going back to how things were. I'll see you at Thanksgiving, if you want. But I'm bringing wine, not cooking for 20 people. And if Derek needs a babysitter, he can hire one. If Brittany needs money, she can get a budget. I'm here to be your daughter and their sister, not your built-in help. She left before her mother could respond. Walking to her car, Ashley's hands shook slightly. Not from fear or regret, but from the sheer weight of having finally said what needed to be said. The next few months were an adjustment. Thanksgiving came and Ashley showed up with 2 bottles of wine as promised. Her presence was marked by a new kind of tension, everyone walking carefully around her like she might explode. She didn't explode. She just existed there, pleasantly, helping when she wanted to, declining when she didn't. Ashley, could you help me with these dishes? Her mother asked at one point. I'm actually in the middle of a conversation with Uncle Pete, Ashley said. But I can help in a bit if no one else is available. Brittany ended up helping. She looked annoyed about it. Derek didn't ask her to watch the kids even once that fall. She heard through family gossip that he'd found a regular babysitter, someone he actually paid. The holidays felt strange without her martyrdom. Lighter. Less important, maybe, but also less suffocating. By December, something had shifted. Not back to the old way, but into something new. Her family seemed to be recalibrating, learning to function without Ashley as their shock absorber. Her mother called one evening, not to ask for anything, but to share gossip about a neighbor. Just talking. Just connecting. How are you, honey? Linda asked, and for once, it sounded like she actually wanted to know. I'm good, Mom. Really good. You seem different. I am different. Are you happy? Ashley thought about it. Yeah, I actually am. There was a pause. Then, quietly, I'm trying to understand. I really am. I know. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation. Her mother still didn't fully get it. Derek still seemed vaguely resentful that his free babysitting had dried up. Brittany still thought Ashley was being difficult. But Ashley had stopped needing them to understand. She'd stopped needing their validation for her choices. She'd started painting again, something she'd abandoned in her 20s. Started dating a man she met at a coffee shop. Made plans without checking if anyone needed her first. Her life had become hers again. And when Christmas came, she brought a store-bought dessert and didn't apologize for it. Here's what I've learned from Ashley's story, and maybe it applies to some of you too. Family love isn't supposed to be one-sided. And setting boundaries isn't the same as building walls. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling people to take you for granted. When you teach people that you won't be depleted anymore, you're not punishing them. You're inviting them into a healthier relationship where everyone's needs actually matter. The hardest part isn't standing firm. It's accepting that some people might never understand why you had to. They'll see your boundary as rejection when really it's just protection. But your peace matters. Your time matters. Your life matters just as much as theirs. And you don't need anyone's permission to start living like that's true. Sometimes the best thing you can do for people who love you is show them that loving you requires more than just expecting you to show up. It requires them to show up too.